In this recording, I'm going to perform a clip operation in Modelbuilder. We're going to clip 5 layers based on a buffer created from a different layer. And we'll create the whole model in Modelbuilder and we'll save it in a place we can get back and use later. One of the first steps in any process like this would be to set the working environment. First, I'm going to make the file geodatabase. That's going to be my final destination, and then I'm going to set that as my work environment. So I have the catalog window open, and I have a directory that I own where my data is at. I can say new file geodatabase and give it a name that I'll remember. Inside that geodatabase right now there are no data layers, of course. What we want is to make a new, but you can't see that. We want to make a new toolbox. So I say new toolbox because models are stored inside toolboxes. And if a toolbox is inside a file geodatabase, you could zip that geodatabase and you could send it to me and I would have your model. And if you put data in it also, I would have your data. So this container becomes very useful for sharing your work with people. So I've got a file geodatabase I created, I've got a new toolbox, and now I have a new model. When I save this, it's going to be saved inside that geodatabase and inside the toolbox. Now I'm going to set my environment settings. So I have the toolbox window open, right-click, set environments. This should be becoming very familiar to you because in the labs we're having some real issues with how slow the network defaults are. So my current workspace and my Scratch workspace have been set to, for me, what is a ctemp based file geodatabase. So this will be about as fast a performance as I can get. When I set both current and Scratch, there are calculations that are performed, for example, during a buffer, and they will be done inside this, and they'll be faster. And the output layers should be defaulting into this area, which will be faster than a network drive. Inside my model, I want to do a buffer, and then I want to do a series of clips. I just drag the tools in. I can drag clip over 5 times. I can do a copy paste, or I could even set the first one up partially and then copy paste it. To manipulate these, I hit open, and I'm given basically the same window that you'd see inside ArcMap if you ran the tool directly. For this one, we're going to clip schools, and I'm sorry, we're going to do the buffer first. That's right, we're making a buffer. The input feature for buffers is the area of concern, the AOC, which is a polygon for us. The output should go into my file geodatabase. Double click it to open it, give it a name. This is AOC with buffer. I'm sorry, save. I need to give it the linear unit and check the units for that, 1500 meters. I probably want to think about what kind of dissolving I'm doing, and if you're not sure what I'm talking about, click on the show help and read about how dissolve works for different kinds of multi-polygon buffers. In this case, we can dissolve none. What that'll give us is a single buffer. So I can hit OK. And you can see in the model that when you have answered all of the parameters, the solid color fills the model. And as we've seen, we can do different ways of connecting these. So I just use the make connection to say that the clip is going to use the buffer. I could have also opened it with a right click and just enter manually. The output feature class should go to the geodatabase. That's good. So this will make a clipped layer of schools. What we're doing is selecting or clipping out the schools that are inside 1500 meters away from this buffer. Now what I could do is copy paste this. Sorry. So I've lost where they are. I can do this auto layout. I can zoom, sorry, to there. We're copying the clip. Control C, Control V, and I will want to manipulate the connections after I clip these. So I'm going to paste in, and what I'm doing is using the I've already filled in the buffer outline. I still have to go back and change the layer that's being clipped in these 4 new ones, so that I clip 5 separate layers and I have 5 separate outputs, but I have to add the outline to each one of these. I'm going to pause the movie while I do that. I'm resuming the movie. I picked I changed the inputs for these other ones, and I have one left to do, so I'll do it so we can all see what I did. So after copy pasting, I have a buffer and I have a school clip because that was the tool that I copied, and I just changed the layer being copied in each case, and then I changed the output in each case, and I hit OK, and now that tool is ready to run. You can see what happened was it disconnected the input that I don't use, and I can just hit delete on those. They don't have any effect on anything. So I have 5 clip operations. I have 5 different input layers. I have 5 different output layers. Looks good to me. I'm going to say model save, and remember that puts it in the file geodatabase. One more step. I want to right click and say add to display. Otherwise the layer would be created but we wouldn't see it. And then I'll save it again. I could do validate. I could do run. Let's do run. I have a problem. I'll have to investigate. Well, like many problems, this is an educational problem. So the first tool that stopped was this one. I'll hit open, and I look at these, and I have AOC buffer, I have hospitals. Well, that seems correct until I click here and then read in the help. So I have these 2 layers backwards. The feature to be clipped should be hospitals, and the clip feature, the features used to clip the input, now that's the polygon, the buffer that we created. So I had my inputs reversed, which brings up an interesting point. With Model Builder you can make a lot of layers really fast, and sometimes you need to come back and make sure you did the right thing. In the old days when we did them layer by layer, we had more time to look. So I have to reverse input and clip on all my tools before they'll do what I want. I'm going to pause the movie again while I fix that. I'll show you what I'm doing with the last 2 of these. So the input feature is actually the layer, and the clip feature is actually the AOC underscore buffer, which is the output that we created with the first tool in the model. The railroads, the final output of this tool is OK. I worked my way through them all, and as before, when I make a change, the disconnected layer remains in the diagram and it should be deleted. So now I've got hospitals, schools, streams, railroads, and roads all being clipped. The outputs are named correctly, matching the inputs. So now let's try running this tool again. I can see that the operation lights up in red while it works, and it steps through them. We did not assign any sequence to this. Well, within a elapsed time of, well, they say 2 seconds, but it seemed a lot longer than that, the process is done. And I can see these are gray, which means the operations have all run. The window's closed, and on my map, I should have the new layers.